Welcome to the Microsoft Excel for Business series brought to you by the Virginia Beach Public Library. I'm your host, Jeanne Hutchins, and today we'll be creating and formatting charts. What is a chart? Well, as you can see from the items on the left, that's not a chart. This is more of a table or a range of information. We see words, we see numbers, we see actual dates, we see currency, we see amounts of money. We can see that it's brands of cars, years, types of cars, models of cars, and the price of the cars, and then the dates they were received. That's all good, but it means that I really have to focus in on each line to see what's there. Whereas my chart will display the information in a graphic format, and I can see a first quarter chart, and I can tell if I could see my legend a little more clearly. The colors are designating sales by certain salespeople, and it's actually a cluster column chart. So this on the right side is actually basically a picture of information that is readily understandable and takes much less time to to read or follow. It's a visualization of data. It represents or symbolizes as well as summarizes. And as they always say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's launch Excel. And here I have a table of summer semester grades. I have 8 students, and they have taken 4 exams, 4 tests, and then they have a final grade. Now, if I would like to chart this, I would just need to put my cursor in the data, and I'm going to click on the Insert tab and come over to the Chart group. As I look at the recommended choices, first I'm offered a clustered column, a line chart, another clustered column without the trend line. The first one had a trend line. Here's what they call a clustered bar chart. Now these are clustered because I have, for each student, there are 5 numbers, 5 sets of numbers. So you'll see the final grade, the fourth, third, second, and first on the clustered bar chart. But they also recommend, and some of these are a little harder to understand. The scatter chart would not be quite appropriate here, nor would the stacked bar chart, because it would be really difficult for you to figure out what scores they actually had unless I put the data labels on the chart, which would be a little busy and make it look more like I should have just left it as a table. My stacked column, again, same problem as the stacked bar, hard to see what the information, what the actual scores were. Now this is a funnel chart, and it definitely only would be good for one person, and it would show how they progressed as opposed to having 8 students or 9 students. It just doesn't quite work as well. And finally, we have a Pareto, which is definitely not going to work here, but it will show you the the data in descending order of frequency. That's what it's basically trying to show us. So I don't like any of those, so I'm going to cancel. Again, my cursor is staying in the data. Go back up to Insert, and I didn't even show you the pie chart, but the pie chart would not help us here because a pie would represent the whole 100%. And unless I was doing one student at a time, the pie chart, all of my 8 or 9 students just wouldn't fit. It just wouldn't make any sense. I'm going to go ahead and go up to this column. And what I want is a clustered column. And I'm going to slide it over to the right here. Okay. When I actually click on my chart, a contextual tab called Chart Design appears in the ribbon. And from there, If I click on that, it says here I can add chart elements, such as the axis or title, axis title, chart title, we already have there, data labels. I can add the data table, as you can see what that would look like at the bottom. Data labels would give me the option of putting them in the center, the tops, inside the base, outside, and it would be, or a call out, it would be really too busy and defeat the purpose of having the chart. Next in my chart design tab, I have a quick layout that also shows me how I can do the very same things, how it would look. Then I can actually change the colors. Here we go. Change it to different colors. That looks very autumnal. I like that one. We can also make it monochromatic. It depends on how many columns you have, whether you want to make it monochromatic or not. With so many columns for each student, I would steer from that and just kind of stick with something a little more bright or something I could discern each separate score, each separate exam. Also, here in chart styles, we can change like if I choose that one, it's going to look pretty much the same, but it's giving me the data table underneath. All of these are basically reflecting something similar, and that's too much information. I don't really need it. These are just different styles. Like you can have the darker background, the faded look, the, I guess it's tubular or empty look, kind of like this one. And now we'll stay with that. Over here, where it says switch row and column, if I click on that, it changes so that I'm looking at each exam separately, and each student is represented by a different color. So I have 9 students, and all 9 took the first exam. They took the second exam. So here we would see who did best on each exam. And it's different from when I had it. Let me go back. When I had my students all clumped or grouped together, clustered together, and you can see their scores from all of the exams at a time. I'm going to leave it like that. When it says select the data, I could, for instance, just take out all these exams here and just leave it at the final grade. And then I have just one function, one item that I'm looking at. And it looks like Ted and Alice came very close. They both scored at least 90 on their final exams, on their final grades. All right, kudos to them. All right, let me get back up in here. Chart design. Here allows me to change the chart type. If I wanted to, from here, I could maybe look at a line chart. If I say, let me look at a line chart. But it's because of what I have now. Bar, area. You can look at a pie chart, but it doesn't give us really good information. I don't think we looked at the tree map. Totally lost on what that means. Sunburst, again, looks like a pie almost. Histogram, box and whisker, looks like something you'd more have on a map. I don't know why, but waterfall, and that's not so clear to me either, because it says it's decreasing, increasing, and then a total, but I don't even see the yellow. Um, the funnel and a combo again. Oops, it didn't give me a combo because I only have one that I'm working on. Let me go back to my column, and I'm actually going to just cancel that because we already have a column. And notice that it says final grade in the title, whereas before we didn't have a title. And a subtitle is its final grade. So if I go back to chart design and I say select data, and I can just go back and check all the other exams, put them back in, click OK, and I'm back to where I started from. Okay. If I don't want all that data there, I'm going to click on my plus sign now and say I don't need grid lines actually. It makes it a little busy. For my chart title, I want to give it a name. So I'm going to click on my chart title, click equal. You know how Excel is. If you want to create a formula, you must have that equal sign. Click on the title of my table, hit enter, and it brings the title over to my chart. I can also, while I'm clicking on my chart, I can click on the paintbrush to change colors, style. For instance, if I wanted it to be maybe like that, or I could have the darker background, the colors again. Same thing that we did up here in the chart design, we find in the paintbrush as well. Okay. Let me go back up in here and remove those grid lines again because I want to show you how to funnel. It's sort of like filtering, and we did it a little bit before when we changed the data. So I can again deselect all and just choose the final grade and apply. And I see the final grade for each student. I can say I want to see the first and the third and the final. Apply. So it gives me for each student 3 exams or 2 exams and then their final grade. And then of course I can go back up here and select all and apply. Here in the categories, I can deselect and say I just want to see Ted and Alice and apply. And it gives me their grades since they seem to have the highest grades in the class. And of course, I can just go back and select all, apply, and everyone's back again. So it acted like a filter on my table as well. Like I'm hovering over Kevin, I'm hovering over Ted, I'm hovering over Bill, hovering over Mary. So you can see that even as all the final grades are visible, as I hover over each one, it singles them out and highlights them. The others fade and they're bold. There's Larry. All right. So I'm going to apply all again. So this is just some of the things you can do with charts. Of course, you can always right click um, and maybe you want to change the plot area, the chart area. And maybe I want it to be, I want it to sort of stand out. So that makes it stand out without being too dark. Because if I make it black, imagine all that blank ink that gets wasted should I have to print this. But that's something you can do also. And my cursor's on the chart. I can go to chart design and I can actually move my chart. I want to put it on a new sheet and it will be called chart 1. So I click on OK and there it is. And I can still get to my chart design. I can still access my elements, format my style and color, and I can still do my filtering. It's just on a separate sheet. Maybe that's so that it's more easily seen in a presentation, or if you want to print it by itself. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. So let me go back to my grades, and let's say I left out someone. So I have to put that person's grades in. I'm going to insert a row. I'm going to call her Helen. And so she got a 90 on the first exam, and then she got an 89 on the second exam, and maybe a 93 on the third, and a 98 on the last one. So her average turned out to be the highest of all. She's got a 93 final grade. So let's look at our chart, chart one. And look, there's Helen. I don't know if you can see her, but there she is. And let me move this out the way. And you can see that she's actually, there's Helen on her fourth, her final grade, and it says 93. So because it's a table, it will expand with the chart. The chart will expand with your data. But again, this is really just a snapshot of one aspect of Excel. For further information on this and other Excel tools, please use the databases that are free to any of our Virginia Beach Public Library members. Universal Class and LinkedIn Learning must be accessed through the library's website, and that's at vbgov.com/libraries. LinkedIn Learning is formerly lynda.com. It has a host of programs, classes, not only work-related, but also personal. Same with Universal Class. So even if you're interested in something other than Excel, photography or web design, they have classes for those things as well as maybe mindfulness, diversity and inclusion, all kinds of wonderful classes, and they're free. Also, GCFLearnFree.org and the Virginia Wesleyan University offer classes on Office 365 for free. Virginia Wesleyan does require registration, but the classes are free. I hope you have enjoyed this video and wish you every success.